My parents always said they loved me and my sister equally. But that was a lie, because every time there was a choice, they chose her. Every birthday, every achievement, every opportunity, and the day they stole my future to give her the life she wanted. I finally realized something. I was never their daughter. I was just their backup plan. What they didn't know was that their decision would cost them everything. Chapter 1, The Favorite Child. Growing up, my younger sister Emma could do no wrong. If she got a B in school, my parents celebrated. If I got an A, they asked why it wasn't an A+. When Emma forgot her chores, everyone laughed. When I forgot mine, I was grounded. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. Kids notice things. But surely parents couldn't be that unfair, right? I wanted to believe that until my 16th birthday. I had been saving money for months. I wanted a laptop. Nothing fancy. Just something I could use for school. My parents promised they would help. I was excited. For the first time, I thought they were finally seeing me. Then Emma decided she wanted a horse. A horse. We didn't even live on a farm. But Emma cried. She begged. And somehow, my laptop money disappeared. A week later, Emma got her horse. I got a card that said, "Maybe next year." That was the moment something inside me changed. Not anger. Not yet. Just disappointment. The kind that sits quietly in your chest. The kind that never leaves. Chapter Hour. The dream? By the time I graduated high school, I had one goal. Get into Harvard. I worked harder than anyone I knew. While Emma was out partying, I was studying. While she slept in, I worked part-time jobs. Every dollar I earned went into my college fund. Every scholarship application. Every essay. Every late night. I sacrificed everything. And it paid off. The acceptance letter arrived on a rainy Tuesday. I still remember opening it. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. Then I saw the words, "Congratulations." I screamed so loudly that my neighbor came outside. I had done it. Harvard wanted me. For the first time in my life, I felt chosen. I thought my parents would be proud. Instead, my mother looked worried. My father looked uncomfortable. And Emma looked angry. That's when I knew something was wrong. Chapter 10. The Secret. A week later, my parents called a family meeting. I sat at the dining room table, excited, thinking we were discussing college plans. Instead, my father cleared his throat and said words I'll never forget. "We need to talk about your college fund." My stomach dropped. "What about it?" My mother looked down. She couldn't even meet my eyes. Then my father said, "We gave it to Emma." For a second, I thought I heard him wrong. "What?" "Your sister needs help." I stared at them, speechless. Emma sat there smiling, as if this was normal, as if years of my hard work belonged to her. Turns out, she had massive credit card debt, designer bags, luxury vacations, online shopping, thousands and thousands of dollars gone. And instead of making her face the consequences, my parents rescued her. With my future, I felt physically sick. "That's my money." My father shook his head. "No, it's family money. Family money." Funny how it became family money only when Emma needed it. Chapter 6. Betrayal. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Years of sacrifice. Years of hard work. Gone. Just like that. I looked at my mother, waiting for her to defend me, to say this was a mistake, to tell me they'd fix it. Instead, she said, "You'll understand when you're older." That sentence broke me, because I was already older. Old enough to work, old enough to earn scholarships, old enough to give up everything, but apparently not old enough to deserve fairness. I stood up. My chair scraped across the floor. Nobody stopped me. Nobody apologized. Nobody cared. As I walked toward the door, Emma said something that changed everything. She laughs and said, "You'll be fine. You're the smart one." I turned around, and for the first time in my life, I looked at my sister like a stranger. Chapter War. Leaving home. That night, I packed everything I owned into 2 suitcases. My clothes, my books, my laptop, and whatever dignity I still had left. Nobody stopped me. Nobody knocked on my bedroom door. Nobody asked me to stay. I guess they assumed I'd come crawling back. After all, where else could I go? At Shabbat years old, I stood outside my childhood home and looked back one last time. The place where I'd spent my entire life. The place where I was never enough. Then I got into my car and drove away. I cried for almost an hour. Not because I missed them. Because I finally understood something. They never lost me. They gave me away. Chapter 6. Starting from nothing. The next few months were brutal. Without my college fund, Harvard was impossible. Or so I thought. I worked every job I could find. Waitress, cashier, tutor, dog walker, anything that paid. I barely slept. Most nights I survived on instant noodles. My apartment was tiny. The ceiling leaked whenever it rained. The heater barely worked. But for the first time in my life, everything I had belonged to me. One afternoon, I received an email. Harvard had reviewed my financial situation. Because of my grades and circumstances, they offered additional aid. Not enough to make things easy, but enough to make it possible. I stared at the screen, then burst into tears. For the first time, someone believed in me. Chapter 2. The phone call. 3 months later, my phone rang. Mom? I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hello? Her voice sounded sweet. Too sweet. We miss you. Funny. They hadn't called once in 3 months. Now suddenly they missed me. Then came the real reason. Emma needs help again. Of course she did. Turns out Emma had maxed out another credit card. She wanted me to loan her money. I laughed. Actually laughed. The silence on the other end was priceless. Then I said, "The smart one will be fine, remember?" And hung up. Chapter 8. The turning point. College changed everything. I studied business and software engineering. While other students partied ... I built projects, started side businesses, learned coding, learned marketing, learned everything I could. One professor noticed my work. He became my mentor. One day he said something I'll never forget. "You're thinking too small." That sentence changed my life. Because he was right. I wasn't trying to build something great. I was just trying to survive. So I started dreaming bigger. Much bigger. Chapter 2. The company. At 24 years old, I launched my first startup. The first year was a disaster. No customers. No investors. No profits. Everyone said it would fail. But I kept going. Then one day, everything changed. A major company signed a contract. Then another. Then another. Within 2 years, my business exploded. Millions in revenue. National attention. Interviews. Awards. Investors. Success arrived faster than I could imagine. And somehow, the people who never believed in me started noticing. Chapter sure, karma arrives. One evening, I received a message from an old family friend. The message contained only one sentence. "Have you heard about your parents?" I hadn't. And what I learned shocked me. My parents were drowning in debt. Years of rescuing Emma had finally caught up with them. They refinanced their house, borrowed money, sold investments, used retirement savings, all to keep Emma afloat. But nothing worked because Emma never changed. Every bailout simply created another problem. And now, everything was collapsing. Chapter she. The reunion. 6 years after I left home, my parents appeared at my office, unannounced. The receptionist called me. "There's a couple here asking for you." When I saw them, I barely recognized them. They looked older, tired, defeated. Suddenly, they weren't the powerful parents I remembered. They were just two people who had made terrible choices. My father looked around my office, the city skyline, the awards, the success. Then he quietly asked, "You built all this?" I nodded. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then my mother started crying. Chapter sure, the truth. We were wrong. Those were the words I had waited years to hear. But strangely, they didn't feel satisfying. Because some wounds don't disappear with an apology. My father admitted everything. They knew they treated Emma differently. They thought they were helping her, protecting her, saving her. Instead, they destroyed her ability to stand on her own and nearly destroyed themselves. Then came the question I knew was coming. They needed money, a lot of money. Chapter 6, the decision. For years, I imagined this moment. The day they'd need me. The day the tables would turn. The day I could say no. And honestly, part of me wanted to. But another part remembered something important. I wasn't them. So I made a decision. I paid off their immediate debts, but with conditions. No money for Emma. No more bailouts. No more rescues. No more favoritism. For the first time in their lives. They agreed. Chapter 6, Emma's reaction. Emma was furious. She called me every name imaginable. Selfish, cold-hearted, arrogant. Then she demanded money. I refused. For weeks she attacked me online, complained to relatives, played the victim. Nobody listened, because for the first time, people saw the truth. Years of bad decisions had finally caught up with her, and nobody could save her anymore. Chapter 7, the regret. Months later, my father visited me alone. We sat quietly in my office, looking over the city. Then he said something I'll never forget. You know what my biggest regret is? I waited, his eyes filled with tears. It wasn't losing money. It wasn't losing the house. It was losing you. For a moment, neither of us spoke, because deep down, we both knew it was true. The money wasn't the real loss. The relationship was ending. Today, my company is worth hundreds of millions. I have the life I once dreamed about, not because someone gave it to me, because I earned it. As for my parents, we're slowly rebuilding our relationship. It isn't perfect. Maybe it never will be, but it's real. And Emma, for the first time in her life, she's learning to stand on her own. Sometimes people ask me if I hate my family. I don't, because hatred keeps you trapped in the past. Success sets you free. And if my story taught me anything, it's this. The people who underestimate you today, may someday depend on the person you become tomorrow. The moment my parents chose my sister over me, they thought they were deciding my future. They had no idea they were deciding theirs. The end.